So what are we going to be doing today?
We're going to put on a suit and we're going to open the hive and see what's in there. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Can I ask just real quick how long you've done this for? And
I'm in my 6th year. I'm a beginner.
Okay.
6 years is just getting to the point where you realize that you don't know anything.
You learn what you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Skylar, did you have a question?
Do you guys have like an EpiPen?
I do have an EpiPen. Is that something you think you might need?
No.
Okay. But just checking. Yes.
Yeah.
So I keep things on hand in case I have a bad reaction. I have things on hand in case you get stung and you don't feel good, then that'll be up to your dad and grandma to kind of sort that out. But we have things here. Comfortable around the bees, then they're comfortable. So that's kind of why we wear a suit, is so that we know the bees can't get to our faces. That's because that's kind of the scariest part if you get a bee in your ear. Doesn't sound right. So we all go.
Luckily, I have hearing aids in my ear.
So when a bee comes near you, you never want to swat, because if you came up to me and I swatted you, what would you do? You'd swat me back, wouldn't you? So the suits help keep us completely protected so that the bees can't sting. Now, that said, every once in a while, one will get fuzzed up and she'll sting through the suit. That doesn't happen very often, and it hurts for a minute, and then it goes away. We just want to make sure there's no stinger in there. So this is what I'm wearing for a suit today. I'm wearing a wet shirt.
Oh, and the wet keeps them
Does
back?
the wet keep them back?
No, the wet keeps me from dying of the heat.
One last question. What kind of flowers do bees like, or are they
Oh
looking
gosh.
for?
So bees see up in the ultraviolet range. We don't see some of what bees see. So they may look at a white flower and see other colors than what we see. And a lot of flowers have things that look like landing areas for the bee.
Oh, wow.
So she's like, oh, right here. So in our neighborhood, we have a lot of lavender. And right now we have 2 trees that are blooming. They're American lindens. And the tree is just full of blossoms and it's full of bees. So they are very happy right now because there's a lot for them to bring in.
Oh, we have Russian sage next door.
The Russian
They
sage.
adore
They
that.
love the Russian sage. They love it.
No.
There are people who harvest several times a year, and what they're doing is they're taking advantage of different nectar crops.
Okay.
So different nectars taste different. So
That's what we were reading
clover
about,
honey,
right?
right? That's the one that everybody hears about, clover honey. And it's just a nice, light, mild honey. If they're eating buckwheat, it's really dark. It looks like molasses, and it tastes a little like molasses. It's got a real different flavor. They start getting a little fussy because now they're protecting the resources that they've gathered over the whole summer. And so they don't want to lose those resources. So if we start poking around in the hives, then they get kind of grumpy. So that's when we harvest honey.
Mm.
So when we harvest honey, they get a little grouchy.
Okay.
We're going into their house,
Yeah.
we're opening up the refrigerator, we're moving the furniture, and we're taking all of their groceries.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. They get a little grumpy.
Yeah, so they get really grumpy. But right now, they're still pretty happy. So right now, the bees are really busy bringing in nectar, mostly, and some pollen to feed their babies. Okay.
Now, what about times of the day? Is this a good time?
This
of
is
the
a great time of day because most of the bees who forage are out foraging right now. The bees that take care of the babies are still in the hive. So we'll see babies, we'll see young bees. If we're really lucky, we may see a queen.
That would be
How many
great.
queens are in the hive?
One.
One.
Everybody knows that.
One. She is the queen bee. So let's get you guys suited up.
What's up?
Hey guys, what are you doing? You kind of look weird. You're in a weird suit. What are you up to?
Horror movie.
Horror movie or beekeepers?
Or beekeeper? Or
Yeah.
the really bad, 1960s astronaut
Yeah,
movie?
I'm here with my nice grandsons, and we've got a wonderful beekeeper champion showing us stuff about bees.
Very, very cool. So
Yeah.
you guys are actually going to go next to some bees?
I think we're going to get close to bees. And
Oh my goodness. That
as
sounds
Lorena-
really interesting, but a little scary.
as Lorena puts it, we're going to play with bees.
All right, are you boys ready? Give me a thumbs up if you guys are ready.
Yeah.
All right, we'll check back in a bit.
Onto the backside. Okay. Come on around here. Okay. So what the smoke actually does is it covers up the pheromones that make the smells for the bees. Remember I said smell is really important to them. So what the smoke actually does is it masks the pheromones that are alarm pheromones. Okay, so this hive has 2 hive bodies, 2 brood boxes, and 1 super. So what's in here belongs to the bees. What's in here, maybe, belongs to me. Okay? But I don't want to take more than the bees can safely give me.
Do you leave them some when you talk?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This thing is called a pollen trap. And we're actually part of a pilot study in the United States for a technique that's being used in Europe. It's been used in Europe for about 10 years. That tests the pollen for different, both what kind of pollen it is, and also if there are any contaminants in it. So it's pretty cool. So
That
that's the
that'll go to a
pollen.
lab then.
Yeah, this is the pollen that
Oh.
they're bringing in.
You believe how
And
big
the
it is?
ants, do you let them get in there?
Well, I don't have much
Side
control over
effects,
the ants, but yeah.
So that's pollen is what they're collecting on their little
Yes.
legs.
Yep, that's absolutely right. This is a hive tool. This is probably a beekeeper's best friend, and it's used to pry things apart.
Skylar, you could be in the front because you are the
So-
report guy.
I'm not going to use smoke unless I need to. And
Oh my
we don't need smoke yet. Okay, so there are some bees.
And they're more calm, aren't they, than
They're very calm. See, they're not fuzzed up at all. They've got stuff to do. So I said this is the honey super. This is where we want the bees to store their honey.
and we've seen these on TV, haven't you guys? These trays that she's going to pull out.
Yeah, I have.
So this is what's called.
Oh, that's a lot of honey.
That's a frame. Well, actually, it's not. Here, look closely. Hold this right out there at the edges.
Oh, Skylar, that's
Okay.
cool.
Can you feel how light that is?
Yeah.
It doesn't weigh anything, does it?
No.
So they've drawn wax on it, but they haven't stored any honey in it yet. Do you want to hold it?
Yeah,
I think it's
Okay.
fine.
oh, it is really light.
It's light, huh?
Yeah.
I better hold it.
You better hold it.
Yeah, like
Grandma,
show and
you
tell.
better hold it.
Dad, like show and tell.
Yeah.
So they put the wax down.
First, they have to draw the wax on it. So there's a plastic base on here,
Okay.
that guides them for how to build they would build the wax in this configuration anyway, but the plastic frame keeps it in one plane.
Okay.
Otherwise, bees get very creative. And we don't like creative
You start
bees.
getting a little more 3D than
You get more 3D, and 3D is not great for the beekeeper. Okay, this is capped honey. It's
Oh.
got wax over the top.
So they filled it up with honey, then they put a wax cap
Yeah.
over the top.
This is nectar. Okay, can you see the wet in there? How it looks wet?
Yeah.
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 Okay, that wet is nectar that they've brought in from the plants. Okay, they have to evaporate about 90% of the water out of that in order for it to be honey.
And how do they do that?
They flap their little wings.
Really? They dry it? Like,
They dry it. They create currents through the hive, air currents through the hive that help them evaporate that out.
they can make the wax and they make the honey?
The wax comes from a gland in the young bees.
Okay.
So that the youngest bees are the ones who draw out the comb, the
Okay.
honeycomb. And then the nectar, they lick the nectar out of the flowers. They come back, they give it to one of the hive bees. So they carry it in an organ called the honey stomach.
Okay.
They come back and they spit it out to their friends. Their friends bring it up and put it in the hive. So it gets mixed in with enzymes and all kinds of other things that actually turn it into honey. So it's not just nectar, it becomes honey. So you see how close these frames are to each other?
Mhm.
That's a specific distance. It keeps the bees from building crazy wax in there. So if it's bigger than that, they'll build crazy wax.
Okay.
If it's smaller than that, they'll fill it up with a substance called Propolis, which is also called bee glue. It's the
there's glue in between these two seals, wasn't there? You had to pry it up.
And they make the propolis also, but just use different enzymes?
The propolis actually comes from tree sap
Okay.
or plant sap.
Makes sense.
Okay.
That's sticky.
Yeah, it is very sticky.
Where's all the honey stored?
So the honey is all stored up in here, okay? The honey that the girls are going to keep, actually there's more of it down below right now,
So why do you let them keep that honey?
so that they can have something to eat in the winter.
Okay.
Okay?
How much do these big boxes? They look heavy.
Like when they're
30
full of
pounds?
honey. So when this is full of honey and resources, this box could probably weigh 85 pounds.
Oh my gosh, how do you do it?
When
Okay. What does she call her?
bee muscle.
Bee muscles.
Okay, so I'm going to give these girls just a little bit of smoke.
So do you choose to like bone stuff that looks like that makes a lot of smoke?
I choose stuff, yes, that makes smoke and not fire. Because if I blew fire on them, what would happen?
They die.
I would cook my bees.
Skylar, you discovered the pine needle makes smoke the other day when we were camping, right? he was really loving throwing it on the fire.
On here, the stuff that looks kind of solid.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
See
can
it?
say no, show them, but I'm just
Well,
trying to get. Yeah, it does look solid.
Okay. That's called bee bread. Okay. It's pollen mixed with honey and nectar.
So
Okay.
do they? What do they?
Does look
Do
different.
they eat the bee bread?
They do.
It's the like before honey.
That's right. It's the nectar.
Oh.
Okay. So,
They're so thick on this one.
yeah, they are.
And I didn't see a queen in there.
Nope, no queen yet.
There's a bee stuck in your glove.
Yeah. Oh, she tried to sting me. So, see what happened there?
Don't they pull the whole abdomen out?
Yeah.
Oh, look at her little stinger. Yeah,
Let's
pulls
go
her
in
whole
tight.
abdomen out.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
So
She
these are
died
bees that
from
can
it?
only sting once and then they would die.
That's right. So her stinger is barbed. It's actually a modified ovipositor.
Oh.
And her stinger is barbed. So when she stings me, that's all she's going to get because it's attached to her ovaries. Her ovaries aren't productive, but that's also where the toxin is produced.
Does that mean the queen can't sting?
Interestingly enough, the queen can sting. She doesn't have a barbed ovipositor. She could sting you repeatedly.
Oh, wow.
In 6 years, I have never heard of anybody being stung by the queen.
Do they start at the bottom box and then work
They
up?
do.
Oh.
They do. Kind of like in a hollow tree.
Okay.
They work their way up. Okay. Anybody who has a question?
What if I get stung?
What?
What if I get stung?
We've already asked that.
What happens if you get stung?
Yeah.
It hurts for a second, and then it stops hurting. There is a
Can you
mite.
just touch
Okay.
Can you
Oh,
see
you
that
can.
little
Yeah, that
thing?
little black speck is what
Yes.
we're worried about. That's the
That
parasite.
is a mite.
Where?
Return.
Move. Right there. See that little kind of reddish spot?
Oh yeah.
I can't see it.
So what would you do now?
Well, in effect, I just killed the drone, which is where most of the mites live this time of year, and that will kill the drone or the mite as well.
That's why you opened that.
It is.
The first year you said you lost your bees.
Yep.
It was related to temperature, I assume. And
Mites.
Yep, taking all the honey. Oh, it was mites.
Mites.
So
Mites
they're
are
a real problem.
mites are the biggest reason that we lose colonies.
How do you know if it's a queen bee?
If we can see the queen, we'll be really lucky. She is very big compared to the other bees.
So you have 4 queens,
I have 4 queens in here.
one for each.
One
of
for
them.
each box.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, Skylar. Here you go.
Oh.
Okay, right
Queen?
here, queen.
Oh,
Oh
See her?
my God.
Over
Oh,
here.
wow.
She's
She's
marked
marked.
green.
Yes, I see her long.
That's
Right
See
there.
how
She's going
different
that
she
way.
looks?
Yes, she does. And she's a green spot on her head.
Yeah, well, I
There's,
I
oh
put
my
a green
gosh, that
spot
green
on her head.
spot is
She's a marked
that's
queen.
an Italian marked queen.
Here you go, Skylar. Hold your hands out, and you want to take it from the side, both hands.
And then
Are
look
you
up.
scared?
Put your thumb on top so it
Yeah,
doesn't
these
slide
things
out.
Okay? Okay, where'd the queen go?
The queen just walked over this edge.
Those are easier to spot than you would think out of those movies.
See how big she
Can I
is?
hold
Yes,
have
of
it?
course.
Having
Able to fly.
Jim, stand back and look at me,
She
not
is
the queen.
quite active. I thought you were the queen.
in Iowa.
can I hold it?
Yes, of course. Do you want
Yeah,
to
there you go. Just take it in the frame there. Good job.
Okay.
Oh, that's a bit heavier than the empty ones.
It's a little, yeah.
Can you get Sky?
So there she is. See, we can
Oh,
still
yeah.
see her.
Is there one with a yellow spot on her head?
So the yellow is pollen. It's on some of the
Oh.
workers, and that's pollen that gets stuck to the
That
fuzz.
queen is big.
I maybe am meant to be a beekeeper because I can spot queens and
Mhm.
sometimes drones.
Mhm.
All right, you want to give it back to her?
Yeah, there you go.
You are very generous to let us touch it.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's
this is
see where
awesome.
she
This is-
is.
The drone dies during the mating ceremony. When the queen returns from her maiden flight, she keeps 5 million sperms in her sperm bag.
This is all capped brood.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's all capped brood.
Is there nectar?
B-R-U-D.
B-R-O-O-D.
OOD.
Oh, like brooding.
The
Drone, that one with the big wings?
That's a drone right
Okay,
there. See
that
that
I
guy?
can spot it. Is
Yeah.
that amazing?
See how big he is?
He is
Yeah,
big.
and there's
look at his-
another one right
Yep,
there.
and look at his eyes.
Oh,
How his eyes
yeah.
take up his whole head.
because he's looking for
He's
flowers?
looking for girls.
Oh,
That's all he does. He looks for girls.
and what does he do with the girls?
Well,
He mates with them?
that's his only job. See all those larvae up in there?
And the larvae are these little things, not the stuff down in the bottom of that.
No, the larvae are the little white grubs. So these are the larvae,
Okay, okay.
and underneath here are actually called pupa.
Oh no, we learned about that, but I
There,
forgot
yeah,
what it is.
that's one of those fine distinctions that we all just say, oh, they're baby bees.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's
so
different stages of development.
right, they're in different
Pupa's
stages.
first and then larva is second.
Larva's first, then pupa.
Okay.
Then they emerge as bees. So you can see a lot of pretty big larvae up in here.
Yeah,
That's a good example of it, yeah.
point to where the larva is. Pretty big larva.
And these are wax caps then here.
Right, this
So
is
it's really
capped.
just the ones that have that little bit of white in the
Mhm.
bottom.
So it's actually not hatching because they hatch from the egg. This is
Oh,
emerging.
Emerging.
Oh, because these are the pupa then that have pupated into an adult bee. And they, for a queen, it's only 16 days because they get fed that royal jelly, so they
Yeah.
develop really fast.
Oh,
my
that's neat.
gosh.
And
Good food,
drones
so
take
they'll
the
feed them.
longest because they don't feed them much. Drones, poor
Yeah,
drones.
I know.
They
I
get
gotta
the
kick
short
them
end
out.
of
When
the
they get lazy,
stick.
I kick them out, you know.
They get the short end of the stick. Okay.
Skylar and Ethan, did you know that she and her husband were both forest rangers their whole life?
Not rangers. You guys, you were a water tech for the Forest Service, right? Or a
Yes.
hydraulic tech or something?
Hydrologist. Coming out?
It's coming out. A bee already.
That's a bee emerging.
Oh, this is like
Can we
watching
watch
a
it for a
chicken hatch
second?
out of an egg.
That's exactly right.
Can we watch it for a second?
Yeah, we can watch it.
It's
See his
coming
little
out.
leg? I see his
See her
antler.
little legs? Yeah, she's
Right.
coming. I'm
Or
not
just
coming out.
between your
I'm
shoulders.
not coming out.
Camera.
Let me out.
Point where you're at. Can you show me your finger, Sky?
You see his little
Do you
bit?
wanna
Oh, I
use-
see it. I
Skylar,
do.
do you want to use this to point with?
That's a good idea.
And these legs are more. There's another one right here. She's almost all the way out.
Welcome to the world, wonderful little
Almost
inches.
I didn't see a lot of pollen. I didn't see a lot of bee breath. But I see that they have a lot of babies to feed. I'm going to give them a supplement. This is called a pollen patty.
Yeah.
And if they want it, they'll use it. If they don't want it, they'll ignore it.
Oh, this might be it. This might
Oh,
be it.
oh,
This
oh,
might
come
be
on,
it.
come on, come on, come on.
This might
You
be
can do
it.
it. Come on.
Just
you
got a
can
little
do it.
encouragement,
Oh,
buddy.
oh,
This is
good
it.
encouragement.
This is it.
Oh, this is it. She's going to make it now.
And
It's not a boy. I guarantee it's a girl.
Yeah.
So a brand new emerged bee.
I got my honey for my lemonade.
all right, is that heavy? Yeah, I'll bet it is. It would be for me. All right, very cool. Well, what a great experience for us to see that. He held that, yeah. Very, very cool. Well, thank you guys for showing us all this.
So that's
This is way more
It is, yeah, I
complicated.
know. I want to go study bees.
Oh, they are fascinating little creatures.